The sprawling glass mansion of billionaire Omar Khan stood like a fortress of modern architecture against the pale horizon. It was the kind of place people drove by just to stare at, the kind of place they imagined must be full of joy and laughter. But for Aisha Khan, Omar's 10-year-old daughter, the house often felt too big, too quiet, and too cold. Since her mother had passed away in a tragic accident 5 years ago, Aisha had grown up with only fragments of warmth in a world of marble floors and glittering chandeliers. The only person who had managed to soften that coldness was Maria, her father's nurse. Though Maria was technically hired to care for Omar, who had heart problems, she had quickly become a comforting presence for Aisha as well. Maria was gentle, with a voice like soft music and hands that always seemed to know when a child needed holding. She never wore expensive clothes, never carried herself like she belonged in the wealthy circles Omar moved in. But she had something those people rarely had: time and kindness. One Sunday morning, Omar called Aisha to the breakfast table. His plate sat untouched as he folded his hands in front of him. Omar, Aisha, you're growing up fast. You need a woman in your life again, a mother who can guide you, teach you, love you. Aisha's fork froze halfway to her mouth. Aisha, I have Maria. Omar smiled faintly, shaking his head. Omar, Maria is just an employee, Beta. She won't be here forever. I've decided it's time I marry again, and I want you to choose the woman who will become your mother. From his pocket, he slid 3 photographs across the table. Omar, these are 3 respectable women, intelligent, wealthy, from good families. I want you to meet them, then tell me which one you like. Aisha looked down at the photos. The women were beautiful, dressed in expensive silk and diamonds, their smiles polished but distant. She pushed the pictures back toward her father. Aisha, I don't need to meet them. I've already chosen. Omar raised an eyebrow. Omar, already? But you haven't met them. Aisha's voice was steady. Aisha, I want Maria to be my mother. Silence filled the dining room. Omar's face tightened, as though he hadn't expected such a blunt answer. Omar, Aisha, Maria is a nurse. She's kind, yes, but she's not our kind of people. She doesn't belong in our world. Aisha's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't lower her gaze. Aisha, she belongs in my world, Baba. She's the only one who's been there when I had nightmares, when I was sick, when I cried for Mama. She's more of a mother than anyone else could be. Omar leaned back in his chair, troubled. Despite Aisha's protest, Omar arranged meetings with the 3 women. Mrs. Sophia Malik, elegant and poised, spoke to Aisha as if she were a child at a formal dinner party. Farah Mirza, glamorous and full of charm, brought expensive gifts but kept checking her phone. Dr. Lena Qureshi, intelligent and composed, asked thoughtful questions but seemed slightly detached. Each woman was accomplished, refined, and perfectly suitable by societal standards. But none of them sat on the floor to play a game with Aisha. None laughed with her, and none asked about her drawings or bedtime stories. That evening, after the last guest left, Aisha found Maria in the kitchen washing dishes. Without saying a word, she hugged her tightly. Aisha, whispering, "Don't ever leave me." Maria kissed the top of her head. Maria, "Never, my John." A week later, Omar brought the topic up again. Omar, Aisha, this is not just about you liking someone. Marriage is about status, about stability. Maria doesn't come from money. Aisha's hands clenched. Aisha, Mama didn't marry you for money, did she? Omar was silent. The truth was, his late wife Amina had been a school teacher from a modest family. Omar had fallen for her warmth, her kindness, the way she saw him as a man and not a billionaire. But after her death, the fear of losing again had made him retreat into the safety of wealth and status. Omar, things are different now. Aisha, no, Baba. People are still the same. Hearts are still the same. That night, Maria overheard the conversation. Later, she approached Omar in the study. Maria, sir, I respect you, and I know my place. I never wanted to cause trouble between you and your daughter. But if you think I'm here for anything other than her well-being, you're wrong. I would never expect marriage. Omar looked at her, surprised. Omar. Then why has she become so attached to you? Maria smiled sadly. Maria. Because I treat her like she matters. Because I see the little girl who misses her mother every day, not the heiress everyone else sees. Her honesty lingered in Omar's mind long after she left the room. A month later, Omar fell seriously ill. He was rushed to the hospital late at night, and Maria was the one who stayed by his bedside the entire time, adjusting his blanket, checking his medication, holding his hand when he winced. The three wealthy women sent flowers and polite messages, but none visited. Aisha spent every evening in the hospital room with Maria, reading to her father. It was in those quiet hours, watching Maria's patience, her steady care, that Omar began to see what his daughter had seen all along. When Omar recovered, he called Aisha and Maria into the living room. Omar, Aisha, I've been thinking. You were right. Status means nothing if there's no love. And Maria, if you would accept, I would be honored if you became not just my nurse, but my partner in life. Maria's eyes widened. Maria, sir, this is unexpected. Aisha jumped in, her eyes shining. Aisha, please say yes, Maria. Please. Maria looked from father to daughter, then nodded slowly, tears in her eyes. Maria, yes. The wedding was small, held in the garden where Amina once liked to sit. There were no diamond tiaras, no celebrity guests, just close friends, family, and the quiet joy of a choice made from the heart. For the first time in years, the mansion felt like a home again. Aisha's laughter echoed through the halls. Omar's smile returned, and Maria's warmth filled every corner. Epilogue. In the years that followed, Aisha often told the story to anyone who asked about her unusual choice. My father gave me 3 pictures. I gave him one answer. Sometimes the best choice isn't the one that looks perfect. It's the one that feels like home.